In 1903, the New York Times wrote, "Human will take 10 million years to make a plane. 69 days later, humans will be born. And 69 years later, humans had already stepped on the moon. So what will happen until 2100? Humans will be immortal? You will discover now. We started in 2024, when Agago shared the most powerful chip in history. Willow solved in 5 minutes a problem that the best computers would take 10 million years. In 2025, the game will be released more expensive than the story. GTA 6. And a little later, the Jedi will become the biggest building in the world. With 1 kilometer, it will have the city back in the middle of the Saudi desert. In 2029, the world's largest telescope will also be ready. The Magellans will be in Chile and will be 200 times better than the current ones. The goal of the Magellans is to look for habitable planets and perhaps aliens. Brazil is one of the owners of the telescope and will be able to use it 4% of the time. If you want to spy, it will see so far that it will see the light of the baby universe. As it was 100 million years after Big Bang, in 2030, the laboratory meat will be cheaper and taste the same as real meat, which is great for the environment because cows rot and lose methane, besides drinking a lot of water. We will also have the first movies made with IA. What you are seeing are the most recent images of Sora. While you watch this video, artificial intelligence studies everything on the internet. So, soon you'll be able to write a prompt and make a video in the style of the Pineal, and it will be ready in seconds. A year later, the whole world will have the internet. Satellites like Starlink will have that even penguins can watch this video. And for the first time in history, no human will be alone, but we will be more lonely than ever. Today, the WHO estimates that 6% of humans are in depression. In 2030, this number will be 20%. In 2032, we will have the first mutants. We can already define the color of the eyes of the babies, as well as height and even intelligence. But almost all of this is dangerous and illegal. But soon, the CRISPR technologies will be available and your son will be able to have superpower. And if you're rich, you've already noticed the problem, right? A year later, the Sacred Family will finally be completed. This work began in 1882, while there were still slaves in Brazil. 151 years of construction. This means that Tataravos and Tataranitos worked on the same work. Also this year, most stores will have no attendant, and everything will be organized by AI. The unemployment will be so big that many countries will adopt universal basic income. And AI will also let you talk to animals. It seems that the most is true. Many animals communicate with sounds, but it is very difficult to know what a Latino means. Luckily, AI are specialists in studying patterns. All this for you to talk. I love you with a Latino for your dog. In 2035, China and Russia will send humans to the moon, and we will have the first flight without pilot. This year, we will also have the first summer without ice in the Arctic. A great news for polar bears, but a great news for Russia, which will gain trillions of resources and maritime routes. A year later, China will become the world's largest economy. But this does not mean that it will be more powerful than the United States. And they will still have military, cultural, and technological supremacy. In 2037, we will resurrect animals extinct like a mutie. Companies like Colosseum Bioscience are already doing this. Soon after, we will meet the first cyborgs. We have already been able to use the brain to move things. Even the Russian Iron Man did this in this absurd tragedy. But this is just the beginning. Cyborgs like Neuralink will put unbreakable announcements inside your brain. The good thing is that telepathy will be possible. You will be able to send a zap gem to your friend just thinking. What else? You will listen to music and watch movies directly from your brain. And if I'm looking crazy, know that this already exists. The name is the Brain-Machine Interface, and it's just starting. What you're seeing is Alex playing CS only with the power of mind. He is tetraplegic. And think about the commands. Neuralink does the rest. In addition to allowing you to play video games with your free hands to do something else, brain chips will cure many cases of blindness and paralysis. In 2040, NASA and SpaceX will send the first humans to Mars. We already have these images in 4K from the surface there. And 2 years later, the world will have its first trillion. In 2045, we will have digital copies of ourselves. These clones will be immortal, but they will not be conscious. The replica already does this with dead people. It basically takes everything that exists on the internet and reconstructs your personality forever. So your Tatara-Tatara-Nitos can talk to you. At some point, these copies of ours will become robots. And Elon Musk of life will have a copy of it to tweet forever. If this seems dystopic, at least now we want flying cars. Drones. The biggest limitation for size of drones is the weight of the batteries. But in the future, you'll be able to travel, right? If you are rich, we will probably be betrothed. A year later, we will see the first cults to go, and maybe even religions. Artificial intelligence will become so complex and intelligent that many people will compare with the us's. We will also have the first floating cities like Oxagon, which will be built in Saudi Arabia. These cities will have factories that capture carbon to minimize global warming. But it will not be enough. In 2048, the Tatara-Tatara-Nitos will be revised, which means that countries and companies will dispute the welfare. And now our brains are connected to the internet. That is, you'll be able to hack your friend, who is not even in cyberpunk. And the bizarre part, technically, you will have unlimited memory. If you want to remember something, just access a post thinking about it, which you don't even do with your phone now. And how the brains will be on the internet. Websites will test if you are human, the opposite of today's capture. It seems that the game has turned. 2050 will be an absurd year. By the current projections, half of the Amazon will be de-killed, and the global population will reach a peak of 10 billion humans. The trend after is to fall. This year, we will also reach another star. The Starshot project was developed by Mark Zuckerberg and Stephen Hawking, with the aim of sending this candle to the Alpha Centauri star. If the Cabral candles use waves and wind, the Starshot will use light waves. A laser. The pressure of the laser will push this candle to 20% of the speed of light. And in 2070, it will be sending us photos of the planets there, and maybe a selfie with an alien. We will also be mining asteroids. This is the 16 site. It has $15 million in platinum, gold, and iron. Yes, you will live to see cosmic Minecraft. In 2051, there will be no more physical money. Countries like Sweden will abolish it in 2030. And a year later, organs made in 3D printers will be so common that you will be able to make one in your doctor. Your heart is broken, just print another. More 3D printers will change the world in construction. If you are a stone, sorry but probably, will be replaced by a dessert machine. These works already exist, but they are not big buildings. In 2055, we will have the cancer cure, and it will not be cheap. How cancer will be a very complex disease. The cure will not be a magical supplement, and without a series of treatments, that will make the mortality even flu. A year later, almost all cars will be autonomous, and so sure that to stomp someone will be almost impossible. In 2060, the world economy is a bit crazy. The most reliable projections put India with a GDP greater than the United States. Top 5 should be China, India, United States, Brazil, and Germany. Next year, you will see the Halley Comet. It will shine 3 times more than when your grandparents saw. For weeks, you will look up and see that. Now, the first columns are built in Marte and Eloah, as gravity on the ground is 6 times smaller than here. Launching a rocket will be much easier. The moon will be our trampoline for the rest of the universe. In 2070, we will engine the nuclear fusion commercial. The sun generates energy, making the hydrogen of the hydrogen headed to form helium. This fusion generates a lot of energy. We already do this, but with little efficiency. Nuclear fusion will probably be our biggest source of energy in the next centuries. We arrived in 2075, and finally the largest work in history will be complete. The city will have 170 kilometers with 500 meters of height in the middle of the desert. All this will cost $1 trillion, half of the GDP of Brazil. In 2080, we will have the first space elevator. This structure of up to 36,000 kilometers will be the cheapest way to send things to space. And now things are getting bizarre. The first humans will have nanoroboids repairing their cells to reverse the aging. And if these technologies advance faster than the age, their grandchildren will be immortal, if they are rich. The billionaire Brian Johnson believes so much that he spends $1 million per month to stop his aging. And if your immortal grandson gets a curable disease, he can be cryogenized until he finds out the cure. These places already exist and charge $1 million for you to freeze your body and someone to resurrect you in the future. And you get 50% of the discount if you freeze your head. Seriously, we are finally here. In 2100, we will be fully governed by AI. Machines so complex that their decisions are incomprehensible to any human being. They will decide who is in jail, who goes to work, and who is attended to the hospital. But wait, isn't that so? These machines make so incomprehensible decisions that it is impossible for you to understand. They decide who is in jail, who goes to work, and who is attended to the hospital. The problem is never the machines. And yes, who is behind them. The robot is just a mirror pointed to its creator. And as always, thanks for watching.